What is up, my friends, and welcome to another Global News Report. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to be talking about gold, my friends. So the recent developments with gold, I'm going to touch on some things that I talked about earlier in this year and really what's to come. So we're noticing a trend here is that there's some shifts going on. There's now hashtags, conversation, and a lot of people getting behind a conversation of this de-dollarization and this devaluing of the US dollar, meaning that it is getting quickly stripped away as the global currency, as the reserve currency in a lot of countries across the world. Now, it doesn't help with the China trade war going on right now, which if the G20 meeting doesn't go good in November, which is the beginning of November right now, so if the G20 meeting doesn't go well, then there's a 25% tariff that will be imposed by Trump, and that's going to completely further push this divide that's happening. China's doing multiple things right now, which I shot the China video. I talked about the second video I shot with the cryptocurrency, and there's a lot of things that China's doing right now. And China, believe it or not, does have a lot of pull and play on gold pricing. Every major whale does. JP Morgan is a whale. Centralized banks are becoming whales. China itself is a whale. Like, if you hold a shitload of gold, you're a whale, essentially. It's the same with Bitcoin, same with any cryptocurrency. So anyways, there's some very interesting things happening right now. Obviously, a lot of people talk about gold when we start to talk about a hyperinflationary period, a recession, end of the world, whatever you want to call it. People talk about gold, and the reason why is because it preserves purchasing power. Like, that's the thing that I think so many people miss, and I've said it how many times? If you've been a subscriber to this channel, I'd say it till I'm blue in the face. It preserves purchasing power. That is its sole intention. Beyond that, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we've seen a steady increase really since 2017 by centralized central bankers. But so far in 2018, there has been a steady increase as well. So this is one chart to represent it, but I got more. Like always, I've got more, my friends. According to Natalie Dempster, who's the managing director for central banks and public policy with the World Gold Council, central banks buying has accelerated sharply. We have countries who haven't bought gold in 10 years, in 32 years, buying gold. That's the case of Hungary. Hungary has not, the centralized banks have not bought gold in 32 years. Now, most people would think, yeah, so what? But when they're not the only ones, when there's hundreds of tons being bought across all these countries, all these big players too, you got to start to ask questions. Up till August, Russia's purchased 159 tons so far this year. We have Turkey up till September, 54.7, Kazakhstan, 34, Hungary, 28, India, another 21 to their storage, Poland, 13. So we've got a lot of action happening. Here's another piece done on India. The Reserve Bank of India bought 21.8 tons of gold from January to September, with 13.7 tons being bought in July-September quarter alone. And they're talking about long-term stability of reserves amid rising concerns over global economic and political turmoil. Wow, who would have thought? Global central banks bought over 148 tons of gold July through September. That's up 22% from the same period last year. The purchases were the highest since 2015, the World Gold Council admits. And they just came out with their report, actually. 16 different central banks have increased their gold reserves since the start of 2017. In its quarterly report, On-Demand Trends released this week, the World Gold Council reported that central banks collectively made net purchases of 148, there it is, 148 tons. Here it is being talked about again. So this piece of news is being echoed throughout the gold and really economist world, okay? Because it's a big deal. Further, to push this dialogue and conversation is now let's slightly pivot to talk about gold standard. I firmly believe in multiple countries there's a gold standard coming. China, I believe, is one of those countries, and I believe they're actually going to go with a cryptocurrency that is gold backed and yuan backed, because the yuan is a strong player against gold. I've got a piece that I'm going to show you in just a second talking about that. So since 2009, the Bank of France has started to refine and audit all of its 2,436 tons in gold reserves into the refinement bars, okay, that can be internationally traded. That is interesting. I'll have this link underneath. You can read the full write-up, but they're getting ready for it. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, and this is a little bit off the beaten path, but interestingly enough, this piece piece has started circulating around again, which this was written way back in 2017. I never saw this when it came out, but part of the whole leaked email thing with Hillary Clinton, part of what was talked about is that they did not want Gaddafi to do a gold-backed currency in the country. Most astounding is the lengthy section delineating the huge threat that Gaddafi's gold and silver reserves, estimated at 143 tons of gold and a similar amount of silver, posed to the French CFA, circulating as the prime African currency. Breaks it down, but bottom line is that that was brought up in these emails that he wanted to do a gold-backed currency. So going back in time, our little time capsule here, this is nothing new, but this circulating around again, like this was actually getting shared around on Twitter today, November 4th, 2018, when it was written all the way back in 2017. Last piece that I want to talk about, this is where we're going to talk about crypto a little bit, is JP Morgan is teaming up with Quorum, or Quorum, however you want to pronounce it. They are essentially a Ethereum blockchain-based platform that wants to tokenize commodities. So that would be things like gold, silver, etc. They don't care what, they just want to tokenize these things. If you've been following JP Morgan, which they report everything to CME vaults and any other vault that they hold precious metals at, but recently they just picked up another 600,000 ounces of silver. They hold over 147 million ounces of silver in the CME vaults alone, let alone their own custodian ship that they have, and that's just silver. Gold, I don't have an accurate number for JP Morgan at this point. But JP Morgan created Quorum. I want to make sure that that's understood. And it's because this is part of their play. They hold a lot of blockchain patents as well. This is part of their play to, once again, banks are great at stretching what? Stretching supply. So now they're going to tokenize gold and they're going to, I guess, create more. It's really, that's the simplest way to look at it. And I know that there's more to it, but the layman's way to say that is that they're going to create more gold out of thin air. So they're going to tokenize it and use it as a sort of rehypothecation to allow them to go and now issue these whatevers on top of that. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Gold, I'm a big fan of holding gold, both on location with you, whether that's, on your actual physical residence or within a very short driving distance of your residence. And I also think you should hold some in a country that you think would be least affected or affected like last or at the end of the line if a global occurrence were to happen economically. And that way you could have enough gold on you to get through whatever you needed to get through immediately. I'd also suggest cryptocurrency as well. This would take care of your immediate needs. Gold, silver, cryptocurrency, like there's literally nothing else you could get outside of stocking up on things that would allow you to hunt for food or get food yourself, crops, greenhouses, that sort of thing, weaponry to actually go out and physically hunt for animals, etc. Outside of that, there's nothing else you could really do to prepare, and that should make you feel pretty safe and secure. So gold, silver, cryptocurrency, and then have enough of it within accessible range that you could get to it, and then you've got your backups of everything else that's maybe off location in a different country. Somebody asked me the other day, actually, not just one, but several people asked me, would you ever keep gold or silver in a safety deposit box or a security box at a bank? I never have, and I never would. No, I was always terrified to do that. I would suggest not to, because it's one of the very first things to get raided if there's any kind of capital controls put on anything. It's actually written in the paperwork that you sign when you sign up to either get the box or you sign up with the bank at the very first time. Those are the things that they talk about in that fine print, is that they actually have right and rule to do whatever they please with that in the name of crisis, okay? And I put that in quotes. So anyways, that's what's going on there. We touched a little bit on silver and we touched a little bit on cryptocurrency as well, but keep your eyes on gold. Right now it's at a critical actual dollar amount. So if we can close up above 1250 range, then we would be effectively at about a 36 or 37% retracement on the whole last bear movement, and that's positive. That's a plus on our way back up to, what was that, 1350, 1360 range that it was at before this whole downturn of events happened. I personally firmly believe that there is manipulation that occurs on the gold market itself, and it is through futures, it is through ETFs, it is through rehypothecation, which allows them to leverage a very small amount of physical gold that they have and stretch that out over and over and over and over again. So yeah, I do firmly believe that, even though that's not a popular opinion and a lot of people don't like that I believe believe that, and that's okay too. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts about gold. What are you doing with it? Don't give me the details, but obviously would love to hear what's your strategy with gold, silver, and if or when, and I wouldn't even say if, it's more like when something globally does occur, you know, where's your head at? What are you thinking about with this? I believe that it is very healthy to actually have these conversations, whereas most people want to run and hide from these conversations and call it taboo and get offended with each other. I think it's actually very healthy to have a non-confrontational conversation about what would I do? What sort of safety and security measures do I have in place for myself, for my family? And the more we talk through it, the better the plan becomes because we refine it. And the more we talk to each other, we obviously get to grab ideas from each other and create a more solid bulletproof plan for ourselves. Okay, my friends, that's it for this video. If you could, click the like button. If you like what we're doing here, it means so much. It gets this video out in the algorithms. And then, if this is the first time here, click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. You won't get all the updates in your email, but you'll see it more often, I think, than not. And that way you'll be able to stay up to date on what we're posting on a regular basis. All right, that's it, my friends. See ya.